Here at RTHQ this hour, and we're starting with that breaking news, bring up to speed on the latest we know. It's all about Turkey, and they've launched a military operation against Islamic State early this morning, just over its border in the Syrian town of Jarablus. These are the latest pictures we've got in to show you from a Turkish state-run news agency. It seems the operation began there with cross-border fire early this morning. There are reports that troops and tanks have been deployed. Currently no information, though, on whether they have crossed into Syria, although there is a line in from Damascus condemning Turkey's sending forces to Syrian territory. So we'll bring up speed more on that one. Local media say 70 ISIL targets have been hit in the first few hours of today's offensive. Turkish authorities say they've officially notified Russia about the operation and that US-backed coalition forces are also taking part in it. But that part's created some confusion. Let's try and cut through the confusion with Murad Gazdiev, who's joined us in the studio. Yeah, it's still a bit fluid about what's happening here. As we know it, as you know it, bring us up to speed, Murad.
Well, we know for a fact that they've been pounding Jarablus. We know that Turkish tanks have crossed the border, as well, admittedly, Turkish special forces. So at this point, it's hard to tell whether this is a Turkish backed invasion or a Turkish invasion backed by FSA rebels. More to the point, though, the president of Turkey, Erdogan, has had this to say.
This morning, our army started an operation against terrorist organizations like ISIL and the PYD in northern Syria, who have been threatening our country.
He said our army has begun an operation. Indeed, Turkish tanks, artillery, special forces, even apparently aircraft have moved into Syria, firing into Syria. And here we also have Syrian Kurds, because he said this isn't only aimed at ISIS, this is also aimed at Syrian Kurds, the YPG, the PYD, both organizations of Syrian Kurds that are, Turkey says, ideologically very similar to the PKK, which they consider terrorists. Now, this stretch of land is very important because if the if Turkish-backed FSA units, rebels, take this piece of the border, then they will deny Syrian Kurds this territory, which is very important in any future relations. And Washington is now in a very interesting position. You have Turkey, its NATO ally, pushing south into Syria. You have the Kurds, the YPG, now asking the United States to protect them from Turks, because we don't know who this operation will turn out to be aimed against, ISIS in the long term or Syrian Kurds. And in fact, we've previously asked the State Department about these differences within the coalition.
Is Turkey really an ally when they view America's partner forces on the ground, the YPG, the patches of which U.S. troops are wearing on their uniforms right now, as terrorists?
The goal here is to destroy and degrade Daesh and remove them from the battlefield. It's a goal we share with all members of the anti-Daesh coalition. Now, are there disagreements among members of the coalition as to how we proceed and with whom we're cooperating on the ground? I'm not going to say that there aren't. We're going to continue to work with the YPG as a part of the overarching Syrian Democratic Forces.
So there you go. There are differences, they say, but I would say those are much more than differences. You have two coalition partners, Kurds and Turks, who want to kill each other, simply speaking. Now there's a rat race. The rat race is on to prevent Syrian Kurds from taking more territory. The Turks are trying to do that. And Syrian Kurds, are now asking the United States for protection. So you can imagine how messy the situation is in those closed-door policy meetings in Washington, where they're trying to decide who to support, YPG Kurds, who have been fighting ISIS, or Turks, their NATO allies.
Yeah, Murad, it's going to be a tricky situation to deal with. Let's get some more thoughts on this from Ali Risk, a Middle East expert, then see which way he thinks it's going to go. Joining us now on the line. Hi, Ali. Yeah, which side are they going to take? Because this is a difficult position, isn't it?
Yes, well, but could you clarify your question once again, please?
Which America going to go on this? Which side are they going to take? Are they going to be on Turkey's side?
I think that the Obama administration's priority right now is to score points against Daesh, against ISIS. We've all heard the rhetoric coming from the Republican candidate Donald Trump that Obama and Clinton are behind the rise of ISIS or created ISIS. And so I think that Obama wants to push against that argument, and also by pushing against that argument wants to increase the likelihood that a Democratic candidate, meaning Hillary Clinton, would be elected. So if you take that in mind, the priority for Obama right now is to score points against ISIS, to really deal significant blows against ISIS for certain domestic political reasons. Now, if you focus on that particular issue, I don't think that Obama can afford to upset Turkey, because upsetting Turkey could jeopardize his fight against ISIS and his efforts to deal severe blows to ISIS. Therefore, I would believe that America would prioritize at this particular moment to repair ties with Turkey, to cooperate with Turkey. And I think that evidence of the importance the U.S. attaches to Turkey is the fact that the U.S. has dispatched not John Kerry, for example, to go to Ankara, but the Vice President himself, Joe Biden. I think that by itself shows you the importance and the keenness of America to keep Turkey on its side. So no, I disagree with those who would say that America would prioritize protecting the Syrian Kurds over maintaining its alliance with Turkey.
And who's really in the crosshairs as far as Turkey's concerned here? We know it's not just ISIS.
Of course, yes. It's not just ISIS. It's also the Kurds as well. Whether it be the Kurds of the Kurdistan, the Workers' Party, or also the PYG in Syria itself. But it has to also be mentioned that ISIS has come to pose quite a big threat to Turkey. If you recall what happened over the weekend with this attack on a wedding just on the border area, which led to 50 people being killed. At the same time today, also in Istanbul, at the same time where we saw this cross-border attack by the Turkish army, in Istanbul there was a big campaign launched by Turkish police against supporters of ISIS in Turkey. So it is clear that Turkey has come to perceive ISIS as a significant threat. And I think that threat posed by ISIS is a major reason behind these Turkish operations, be it the cross-border operations or the internal, campaign against ISIS sympathizers. But as well, as you said, the Turks do want to take on the Kurdish forces, and I think that's a very important reason behind that. If Turkey wants to put an end to the threat posed by ISIS, it can't afford to have the Kurds defeat ISIS on its territory or on the border with on the Syrian border, because that could lead to a Turkish, small state on the Syrian border. So it defeats ISIS, and at the same time, by defeating ISIS on these border areas, it prevents the Kurds from taking up this role and establishing for themselves a small state on that border region.
So, Ali, is this just the thin end of the wedge as far as Turkey's concerned? Is it just going to be focused on Jarablus, or is this going to are we going to see mission creep here over the coming days, weeks?
We could see mission creep. I don't think that's likely. It's possible, but I think the main focus would be on the border areas. As I said, we have two priorities, I think, which kind of intersect in my point of view. The first priority for Turkey is that it wants to thwart this threat posed by ISIS. We had the attack on Istanbul airport. We also now have border attacks. So its main priority is to put an end to this ISIS threat. Its second priority is to prevent the establishment of a kind of Kurdish enclave on its border, on the northern border. Both of these intersect, and both require Turkish action on the border areas mainly. So I think for the time being, we will see Turkish military action on the border areas, but we can't also completely rule out some kind of mission creep as well.
Ali Riss, expert on Middle East affairs. Thanks for your thoughts on this developing story today. Big story kicking off. Thank you.